Hello, guys, and welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I am joined by Mr. Matt Turner. Matt, I know it's only been a week since we've done a Marigold Standard, but it feels like longer, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was kind of just going through my notes, just breezing them over, and I was like, the last match we talked about for Marigold was Takumi Roha versus Utami Hayashishita in that 58-minute match. I think it was just because we literally dropped one episode every day, probably I think for the past 2 weeks between Patreon, Talk Joshi, Marigold, and Stardom. But we were just so busy with the Stardom between the pay-per-view on Monday and then the 5-star primer and the 5-star starting up. We just did not have time for the Marigold Standard. But we have 3 shows to talk about, and then right after this, when we're recording our primer. So a lot of love going to Dream Star Fighting Marigold this week. But brother, I am fantastic. Pun definitely intended before we hit the record button. I know you are going to go see the movie based on Marvel's First Family. Myself and the girls, we went on Friday. And yes, the movie was fantastic. Really great stuff. And very much like the Superman movie where Crypto, in my opinion, stole the show. That's not a spoiler. Herbie the Robot. I was like, man, they crushed Herbie the Robot. They not crushed it. The role. He doesn't get crushed yet.
God. I was like, I can't deal with this, man. Good grief.
You said it was fair. Herbie is absolutely. Everybody was great. My sister texted me afterwards, and she's like, "Who was the standout for you?" I'm like, "I don't know. Everybody was terrific and fantastic, pun intended." But no, you will thoroughly enjoy it. Only a 2-hour movie. Goes by really, really fast. Yeah, you'll thoroughly enjoy it. And the movie literally came at the best time, Rob, because boy, howdy, it was, as myself and Andy Header mentioned on our bonus episode last week, it was a tough week for us kids that grew up in the 80s loving heavy metal and professional wrestling. So good old Stanley and Jack Kirby, their very first creation, really soothed us 80s kids this weekend, brother.
Was Fantastic Four the first thing that Stanley and Jack Kirby did?
Pretty much what the story goes is that Stan was getting ready to quit comics because it was right around the time Marvel was, I think, timely at the time. And there might be 1 or 2 facts that I'm missing. Just bear with me, folks. And he was getting ready to quit. And his wife told him, well, you have all these ideas that you want to do because comics back then in the late 50s, early 60s were all about romance comics, Western comics, and horror comics. So there was no, like the superhero, like the Batman and Superman, that was kind of passe. And Captain America, that was kind of, nobody was really doing anything with that. So his wife told him, why don't you write 1 or 2 comics the way that you want? You're going to quit anyway. What's the worst they're going to do? They're going to fire you. So him and Jack wrote Fantastic Four issues 1 and 2, and they sold like gangbusters. And then it was Thor, and then Spider-Man wasn't Jack Kirby, but that was Steve Ditko. But then Stan just kept pumping them out one after another. But Fantastic, it was not for Fantastic Four, comic books would not be what they are today. They are literally the basically the model of what we see today. So yeah, it's and there was I always tell people, you always want to stay after the credits for comics because of obviously certain scenes. But there's a nice little love letter to Jack Kirby written at the very end. They thank everybody. Obviously, I'm big into comics, so I can kind of tell what the source material is. So they're getting towards the end, and I'm like, okay, they're thanking Matt Fraction, George Perez, blah, blah, blah. They're thanking all these people that they took kind of material from and made it in their own. But there's a big love letter to the King of Comics, one Jack Kirby, and that really put a smile on my face because Jack sometimes doesn't get his just due. He's just as important to comic books as Stan Lee, which is saying something.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm thoroughly enjoying at the moment is the Rotten Tomato rating, and someone's put up how all of the Fantastic Four films have panned out with the critics, and it's quite funny to see the 3 previous ones struggling to break 30% approval rating, and then this one, I believe the last time I checked, was about 88%. So very much a night and day thing, and it's good to see Fantastic Four getting a decent outing, and perhaps more importantly, it's decent to see Galactus get a decent outing because he is my favorite comic book villain. I don't count Venom as a villain. But yeah, he's my favorite comic book villain. And imagine my horror, Matt Turner, when he was appearing in The Rise of the Silver Surfer and he was a damn cloud. So yes,
I forgot that you did tell me that about a month or two ago, that he is terrifying in the best way possible. When you finally get to see like him, I looked over at Lily and she's just like, oh my God, Dad, like he is terrifying.
Good.
Absolutely terrifying. Which is the way he should be. Which is the way he should be.
Absolutely.
Again, if you want cuddly things in this, you get Herbie the robot. Again, Herbie's like MVP. To me, it's an A+. It's 10 out of 10. Andy Header, I love him. I know he's going to listen to this podcast. I'm going to call him out in front of the world. I think he's in his angry phase because we did our Story Boy versus Wingori rivalry review of the trilogy. Not one match did he give 5 stars, Rob. I gave the last 2 matches 5 stars, and he only gave Fantastic Four 7 out of 10. He thought it was good, not great. So I don't know if he's getting angry in his older age, or if he's turning heel. I don't know, but I'm gonna have a talking with him. We are recording twice tomorrow, around 2 roundtable discussions. We are talking about Sai Kamatani, so hopefully that'll perk him up a little bit.
Maybe that's rubbed off on him. Maybe it's hate rubbing off on him. Maybe he is just the Sith to our Jedi, the dark side of the podcast, as opposed to the light. Who knows?
Which is weird because I've never seen him get upset before. Like even in a match, when something gets messed up, you can tell I can kind of get like mad, and I start hitting people. But he's just like, okay, yeah, no problem. Oh, let's do this. I've never seen him mad before. But it was like, we just talked about Wingor versus Story Boy. Not one match got 5 stars. I told you how the match at the conversion is not only 5 stars, but my favorite tag match of the year in all of wrestling. Didn't give it 5 stars. And the next day I put on social media, yeah, Fantastic Four was good, not great. 7 out of 10. I'm like, oh. What's going on with this guy? We may have to have an intervention. We may have to have an intervention with him. So, but we love him.
We could record it, put it on the podcast.
100%.
More content. The intervention of Andy Header.
Angry Andy Header.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a lot to cover in this podcast. Just for programming note, myself and Matt doing back to back today. So we're doing this, and then we are recording our Dreamstar Grand Prix primer as well. Very, very excited for the start of the Dreamstar. There's a couple of nights of that Dreamstar that could legitimately be show of the year. There's some absolutely blinding shows. So we'll talk about that in the next podcast. We're also got 3 shows to talk about today. The 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. I know that there was a show today on the 29th. I have watched it. Matt has not. So we're going to cover that next week, when we will also cover the shows from the 2nd of August and the start of the Dreamstar. So we do know, and I might reference a couple of bits from it because there are some fantastic matches on that. If you haven't already seen it, Chika Goto and Minami Yuki is an underrated match. Really, really good match. Obviously, Mayu versus Arina Yamanaka is very good. Easily Arina's best outing in Marigold. Mayu continues to be an absolute goat for reasons we will talk about during the news as well as just being a fantastic in-ring competitor. And then also the Dreamstar preview match as well, Matt. We got some little tasty some hints of Miko Ano versus Utami once more, and you know how excited I get when we get those hints. But before we do any of that, we're going to talk, obviously, about the big news that came out of pro wrestling, and that was the passing of Hulk Hogan, who unfortunately passed away of a heart attack on Thursday, I believe the 24th of July. Now, Hulk Hogan at the moment of his passing, very divisive figure. I'm going to throw over to Matt in a moment, who is going to go into his legacy in pro wrestling, because obviously, we don't condone what he said, his lack of apology for what he said or his beliefs. We are in no way condoning that at all, and we never will. But his impact on pro wrestling is undeniable, and his legacy in pro wrestling is undeniable. So I wanted to get that out of the way now. And both me and Matt feel the exact same way. We can't agree or even come close to trying to vindicate what he said. It was abhorrent and should be, and was rightly derided, and hopefully will continue to be, because it's awful. However, Matt, huge impact on pro wrestling, and I don't think it's an understatement to say that pro wrestling wouldn't be what it is today without Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, as you just said, this is the part. Obviously, Rob said what he said, and we talked about this before on air, so we just got the negative thing out of the way, and now we're just going to talk about Hulk Hogan and his impact on pro wrestling. So he's the biggest star in the history of the business. point blank, period. He's probably the only wrestler that you can actually say is bigger than pro wrestling. If it wasn't for him, there would be no WrestleMania. Vince gambled on WrestleMania twice, once at WrestleMania 1 and once at WrestleMania 3, and he hit home runs because he had Hulk Hogan. Like, and Vince was the gene, he was the mind behind it, but Hogan was the player. Like, the analogy that I read the other day was like Vince was the coach and Hogan was the star quarterback. They both kind of needed each other, but at the same time, Hogan, he was the one in the ring putting in all the hard yards. Again, WrestleMania 1 was such a massive success. Not only sold out Madison Square Garden, but that was back in the day when they didn't have they had closed circuit TV. Basically, there was no pay-per-view. So what they had to do is they had to go to arenas to put up large screens TVs to sell wrestling. So literally the idea was you're going to put like 12, 13,000 people in a stadium or in an arena to watch something on TV. Or they're like, yep. And the demand was so high. They made a ton of money. Vince did really well the next 2 years. And then he gambled everything on WrestleMania 3. It's like, no, we're going to 93,000 people. We're going to sell this out. His idea was Hogan and Andre. And Andre was, he was in the worst for wear because of his back. So a lot of that heavy lifting was because of Hogan. So there was twice that Vince put everything on the line and he had smashing home runs mainly because of Hulk Hogan. And now WrestleMania for the last 20 years or so have been in stadiums because of Hulk Hogan. And again, he's the biggest star in the history of the business. You look at wrestlers over the last X amount of years, and you say, well, how long was their run for? And I get a lot of times people say, well, they think The Rock is the biggest star in the business or Austin's the biggest star in the business. Their runs were only 5-6 years long, and they only drew money for one person, Vince McMahon Jr. Hulk Hogan drew money for Vince Sr. in the late 70s, early 80s. He drew money for Inoki when he was wrestling in New Japan in the 80s. Watch, those buildings were full because of Hogan. He drew money for Vern Gagne right before Hogan left to go to work for Vince for WWF. If you don't believe me, go watch those matches with Nick Bockwinkel. They're drawing like 18, 19,000 people because of Hogan. Then he came back and he had a 9-year run with Vince McMahon, which again, all those WrestleManias, all those SummerSlams, all because of Hulk Hogan. And then what does Hogan do? He leaves. He goes to WCW. They did okay for a year or so, and then he turns heel. And he's the only wrestler that you can say is the biggest money-drawing babyface of all time because of what I just said. And he drew money again for Vince Sr., Vince Jr., Vern Gagne, Antonio Inoki. And then he turns heel. And then the number 2 company becomes number 1 because of Hogan's heel turn in the NWO. If that was anybody else, it would have never gotten over the way that it did. Would have gotten over. Now, we all know that it was supposed to be Sting. It would have done okay. Would it have done as well without Hogan? Absolutely not. The fact that they became number 1 for the better part of 2 years because of Hulk Hogan. Like, they almost put Vince out of business because of Hulk Hogan's heel turn. Nobody else can say that. His impact in the business is massive. He is the groundwork for everything we have as fans. And again, Hulk Hogan is the reason why I got really good grades growing up and I didn't cause any trouble because my dad told me, as long as you do your chores, you get good grades, stay out of trouble, you can stay up late and watch wrestling. And again, I love, Saturday's Main Event or Tuesday Night Titans. Don't get me wrong, I love Tito Santana and Ricky Steamboat and the British Bulldogs and the Killer Bees, but it was, oh man, if I do what my parents are telling me to do, I can stay up late to watch Hulk Hogan. So maybe that's the credit why I never got into trouble. I don't know, but he's the biggest star in the history of the business. His legacy will live on forever. Again, there is no WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan. So yeah, again, his legacy will absolutely live on forever because everything that we see is based on Hogan. I've been saying this for the past couple of years, ever since WrestleMania has moved into, the big stadiums, that when they get done counting their money, $1 million should go to Hulk Hogan and $1 million should go to Roddy Piper because of what they built off that WrestleMania 1 that, we're still feeling the facts. And even when John Cena turned heel earlier this year, a lot of people like, oh my God, that's just as big as Hogan's. And I'm like, you guys have no idea what it was like in 1996. Summer 96, when Hulk Hogan turned heel. It was in the summer. Rob, obviously your teacher, so you'll laugh at this. I had 2 of my teachers call me that Monday. I was like, is it true that Hulk Hogan turned? They didn't know what heel was. Neither did I. It was 96. Is it true that Hulk Hogan's a bad guy now? They called my house in the middle of summer. In the summer, we're not even in school. I was just like,
schools are so different nowadays.
Yeah, they like called my house. Like, it's true Hulk Hogan. Like that's what they. When it was on the news, it was on ESPN Sports, and it was everywhere. It was a big deal, and it turned the tide for professional wrestling. And those NWO T-shirts are still selling. They're still making money off something that happened in 1996 as a heel, and then he comes back as a babyface And I was there at WrestleMania 18, and I've been to a lot of wrestling matches before. There was the most surreal experience I have as a fan is that Hogan and Rock match at WrestleMania 18. And I remember my dad we wind up getting it on pay-per-view at the house. My dad recorded, I watched on VHS. Sound didn't do it justice. When WrestleMania 18 came out on DVD, I ran to Best Buy to get the DVD. Sound didn't do it justice. I think they just re-edited it and put the on commentary thing, the part with Hogan hulking up on social media. And I'm like, that's as close as they've come. But I remember it was so loud in that building, pretty much for the whole match, but especially when Hulk kicked out of the rock bottom and hulked up. I had my best friend Jeff was to the right. I mean, he was talking to me and I couldn't hear him. That's how loud it was. It was a surreal experience. And again, that was 2002. Yeah, 2002. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Like the fact that Hulk and the build up to that match, they tried to make Hogan the heel. They did everything they can to get Hogan over as a heel. He came out for that match in Toronto and the place went absolutely ballistic. And it's something that I'll never forget. So it's just and again, it's a tough day. It's a tough week for us kids from the 80s and 90s that loves professional wrestling and heavy metal, losing Ozzy Osbourne, Rob, and then 2 days later, Hulk Hogan. Like I was getting, it's my wife's birthday was this weekend. I was like, you know what, on my lunch break, I'm gonna get my hair cut. So I look extra handsome for her birthday weekend. And my phone's just going off. I'm getting my hair cut and I can hear my phone is just vibrating, going off. I'm like, something's got to be going on. And then when I got out, it was you, it was my buddy Paul, it was my dad, it was my buddy, it was people. I was like, holy geez. So then when I was watching Fantastic Four on Saturday, my phone kept going off again. And I'm like, please not Arnold. Please not Arnold. It was just, and people were just retweeting.
Can't deal with it.
People were just retweeting the shows that we put out and liking and commenting. I'm like, okay, this is a good thing. But yeah, it's been tricky, losing Ozzy and Hogan literally within 2 days because 2 out of my 3 big heroes. The other one's Stan Lee, and it happened to be Stan Lee's comic book made into a movie that kind of soothed my pain this past week. And so funny how that was like full circle. But yeah, again, Hulk Hogan, rest in peace, my friend. I was playing some WrestleFest the other day, and I was the Hulkster, dropping the big boot and the leg drop on everybody. But again, growing up in the 80s and 90s, it's literally Hulkamania will live forever because its impact will be felt every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. My favorite Hulk Hogan story. Hogan, for again all of the good things he did for pro wrestling, was known as something of a little bit of a liar, or a little bit of a tall tale teller, let's say. My favorite story of Hulk Hogan was when he told people that he'd auditioned to become the new bassist of Metallica. Have you heard this story?
Yeah, and Metallica, they came out in like 82, 83, so he was already on his run. Like he was getting ready, yeah. So like, yeah.
And Lars Ulrich was like, I've never heard of I don't know who this guy is. And then he was like, oh no, what I meant to say was I sent my audition tape in. And then Jace Hetfield was like, I think I'd have remembered him. If you've seen the size of the guy, he'd have dwarfed us. Again, just there's always entertaining stories. It's a shame that his legacy will be sullied, but for his impact on pro wrestling, there's very few people bigger than Hulk Hogan.
Nobody bigger. There's nobody. Again, if you know your wrestling history, he's the biggest star in the history of business. Point blank. End of story. End of story.
Moving on then to the news coming out of Marigold. Unfortunately, we start with a little bit, very sad news. Mayu Iwatani posted on Twitter, unfortunately, that her father had passed away. This was 2 days ago. Apparently, it was a long illness. Mayu did go into some further detail in the post-match on today's show in Shinjuku Face, and Mirror Wrestling did a fantastic job of getting the translation up on Twitter. But it looks like it had been 20 years. He was in a wheelchair. He'd forgotten his family, had never been to see Mayu wrestle. It's hard losing a loved one. That sense of grief, but not only to go out and wrestle, but to do it, in Mayu's typically fantastic way, carrying all the emotions she was clearly having here. She then said, obviously, it feels like my dad is watching for the first time in this venue, which broke me entirely. It's awful. And Mayu proved again today why she is the absolute GOAT of pro wrestling. Our thoughts, all of our prayers, all of our best wishes go out to Mayu and her family at what is undoubtedly an awful time. And yeah, there's unfortunately not a lot else to say there.
Yeah, I mean, what a warrior too to go out there and perform in front of the fans and give, from what I understand, Arena the match of her career, and just another phenomenal performance from Mayu. But I lost my father-in-law 5 years ago, and he was the biggest, still is the biggest Matt Turner fan. He showed up at all my shows, and I, ever since he passed during COVID, and once we came back from COVID and started wrestling, I always say, you know what, he's not here, but he's here. He's got the best seat in the house. And Mayu said his dad's never been there to watch her wrestle. I have a feeling he's got the best seat in the house every time Mayu wrestles, whether it's KBS Hall or Ryugoko. He'll be watching Mayu from the best seat in the house with the biggest smile on his face.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace. And as I mentioned before, all of our thoughts, prayers, everything else, all of our good wishes go to Mayu and her family at this time. Moving on, then, Marigold and Rossi Ogawa did tweet out that they were on the hunt for a new dojo. That hunt is officially at an end because they had their grand opening of the brand new Marigold dojo on the 22nd of July. We know that Marigold had been searching before because there was an entire match based around their use of the LLPWX dojo, if you remember, at Summer Destiny last year, when the LLPWX wrestlers were less than happy with the state that some of the Marigold wrestlers apparently left the dojo in. But however, they have now got a dojo. There was a huge press event where the ring was set up and a couple of exhibition sort of sparring sessions were done. There was also some Chanko, I believe it is called, which was made by Chikagoto Utami and Kamomo Minami, and got rave reviews on social media. It was also confirmed that the head coach at the dojo will be Pro Wrestling Noah's Shuji Kondo as well. So lots of good things, lots of exciting things happening at the Dream Star Fighting Marigold mat, and the event, the facility looked really good in the videos and photos that were posted.
Do you think the folks at LLPWX should now come in and then like trash there, like just kind of like, hey, we're just here to hang out, and then just like leave like Burger King wrappers and like soda bottles of, all right, peace out, good luck, full circle, Rob, long-term storytelling, let's go.
I'm really intrigued by, and I think we talked about this during our Summer Destiny review because we only tackled the hard subjects. I'm really intrigued to know who was the messiest person, because I would automatically go for Mayu, but Mayu wasn't there at the time. So looking at that initial Marigold roster, who do we reckon it was that was the messiest person? Because in my mind, and I know this is jumping to conclusions, I don't know why, but I'm thinking Chikagoto. I don't know why.
You know what? I think we talked about it. I'm gonna have to
We
go back
did.
and listen to that episode. I'm trying to think who I guess. I think I said Utami just because she was like, whatever. I don't know. I forget who I said, but yeah, I totally would be Mayu now, but she wasn't there. So I'm trying to think of that initial. I don't know, Natsumi Shozuki. I don't know. Just so we, because she's out injured, and I just want to say her name because I love her. I think she's great.
Oh, big up Natsumi Shozuki. We miss you. Yeah, look, the facility looked great, really clean, really modern, quite big as well. Whenever I see dojos, I'm always quite taken aback by the fact that the ring pretty much takes up the whole of the wrestling school, wherever it is. I know we've got a couple of wrestling schools in the UK where they're effectively not necessarily storage lockers, but they are effectively you open the door and it is just the ring. This has kitchen, storage, all sorts. So Rossi has found a very good, very key location here, and it looks good.
Yeah, the original Ring of Honor school was at the RF warehouse. Obviously, we had to leave there for, if you don't know, look it up. I'm not going to talk about it. And it was in a giant warehouse, and you can do anything there. We used to run laps and whatnot. And then with the whole big Fallout thing, Gabe and Doug and obviously Carrie, they wind up getting the building that I believe it's still there. I think Cheeseburger has his school there, the Worldwide Dojo. And you can't do anything off the second rope. We can't do superplexes. You couldn't because the ceiling is so low. And there was a squat bar that Claudio broke years ago. I'm thinking like 08, 07, 08, something like that. He was doing a promo and he wound up breaking the squat bar. And then I was there, I think in 2001 for an Alex Shelley seminar, and it was still broke. And I remember I took a picture and I text Shane Hagedorn. I go, they never fixed this from like 10 years ago. But yeah, some of these dojos are really, really small. And Marigold, definitely, it seemed like that they took their time. They wanted to find the right thing, because it's one thing like,
Yeah.
let's just find something for now, and then you don't want to move it. I think they took their time. It's about a year hunt, and looked like they found their perfect place. So good on them. This is only going to get them better, and any foreigners that come over, whether it's for a month or a tour, whatever, it's only going to help them get better. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, I mean, look at that photo. I mean, you have Mayu, you have Mirai, you have Utami. You have a lot of great wrestlers that are going to learn there. And the wrestlers that are already great and they can continue to get better, like your Kazuna Tanakas, your Victoria Zukis, they're just going to constantly getting better, because now they have a place to go to on their off days to go and train. So yeah, excellent stuff. Good on them. And you're just going to see Marigold just continually to get better as an in-ring product.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the pinned post on Marigold's Twitter page, because they have put out basically the call for 2026 talent and tryout auditions, and I was just intrigued as to what it said in relation to the dormitories, and it does say dormitories are available for those from rural areas. The audition is coming up later in August, the 23rd of August. But the dormitories, I don't know if it's a part of the actual facility that they've just bought, or if it's somewhere else. If they found somewhere with dormitories, that's even better. What a find that would be. But yeah, new talent audition and tryout announcement is August 23rd, which is a Saturday. Moving on then to Nagisa Takibana, who opened up during an interview with N-Count about growing up, her mental health, and also finding dream star Marigold. And Matt, I don't know if you read this interview, but it went into quite a lot of detail, especially regarding Nagisa Takibana's life pre-wrestling. She sort of talks about her upbringing, and says she didn't really get on with her parents, and when she left school, had 4 different part-time jobs before then going into the graveyard and idol work at night whilst living on her own. And this actually led to such a poor mental health that she actually attempted to take her own life by jumping off a 7th-story window, or jumping off a 7-story building or something like that. Really, really quite shocking stuff. However, she survived, which was incredible. And she has now said that my mental health is a lot better. I'm thinking more positively, and she's controlling it better, which is obviously a huge thing for her. In terms of Marigold, Takibana revealed that she actually signed up as a trainee as early as April 2024, but ended up breaking her leg in May. However, she still passed her protest in September, despite breaking her leg in May, which is talk about fortitude. That's incredible. Nagisa at the time was out from in-ring action with poor health. She returned today. Actually, it's in Shinjuku Face in the opening 3-way match. Got pinned, unfortunately, by Kamomo Minami, but overall, this is a really, really eye-opening read. You can find the link to the full interview on the news article on the Patreon website, but it is on N-Count, and if you Google Nagisa Takibana N-Count, it'll come up. But the amount of mental strength it must have taken Nagisa Takibana to come back from the dark place she was is honestly breathtaking. It really, really is an incredibly honest, heartfelt interview that must have been incredibly difficult to give. She deserved all of the credit in the world, not just for the strength to actually disclose what she disclosed, but also to wrestle and, to find that positivity after being where she was. So incredible stuff from her. I have nothing but the absolute, I'm in awe of her. I'll be perfectly honest, I'm in awe of her and her strength, both mentally and physically, Matt. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's actually, you took the words right out of my mouth, partner. It's one thing to be tough physically. It's another thing to be tough mentally. And she's, both. And it looks like she's definitely come out of this on the better side.
Yeah.
And then she's in a proper place because that Marigold, the Marigold system, the Marigold company, the Marigold wrestling company, they seem like they're a very tight-knit family. So she'll have, Mayu and Utami or Ria Sato, Victoria Yuzuki, anybody to really talk to, just about anything. And the fact that she's going to be in front of, 3, 4, 500 people night in, night out, that's going to do a lot of great stuff for her, for her confidence and give her a great boost. But not only that, but in a couple of years from now, this is something that she can talk about to other people that are struggling, mental health, or are trying to attempt suicide. So you can try to help. Hey, I was there. Trust me, it gets better. Just talk to somebody. Trust me, it gets better. So I think that not only is she getting better in the ring each and every time, and she's a joy to watch because she's really great, and you can tell how much she's putting into this. She's going to be an advocate for mental health and suicide awareness, and she's going to be able to help a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So, good on her. Really good on her. Again, as you said, partner, it just shows you how tough she is, not only physically, but spiritually and mentally as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we continue, obviously, to support Nagisa Takibana in her wrestling journey. And we've talked about it before, actually, the progress she's made in the ring. When she came back from that injury towards sort of the start of the year, she came back with such a real fire in her, and we both noted it, and how much she has developed that feud with Ryoko Sakimura as she was searching for that first win. I'm really hoping we can see even more progress for her, because there's going to be so many people who have read that story that will be rooting for her. I really hope that that she continues and gets everything that she deserves, because she deserves a lot. Moving on again, then, the Marvelous and Marigold battle does indeed continue to rage on, this time in a Marvelous ring. Marvelous have announced the top 2 matches for their 8th of August Korakuen Hall show, and what 2 matches it is. The one that I want to talk most about is another installment of the interpromotional feud between Marvelous and Marigold, this time a 10-woman tag team match. The Marvelous team of Mia Momono, Riko Kawahata, and Maria of Magenta, Ai Hozan, and Senka Akatsuki will be taking on the Marigold team of Utami Hayashishita, Miku Ano, Victoria Yuzuki, Kamomo Minami, and Seri Yamaoka. Currently, the feud is 8-4-1 in Marvelous's favor. I apologize. So Marigold in need of a victory to start to even up those scales. And during the press conference that Marvelous held today, Utami did hint at the possibility of trying to regain the Twin Star Championships from Magenta. So we could potentially, Matt, be seeing Magenta versus Utami and a partner of her choosing. We know she likes to team with Victoria Yuzuki. We know she likes to team with Kokamray. There are some really good players that she can team with. Matt, first of all, what do you think of this match? I'll tell you the main event in a moment. And secondly, who would you like to see Utami team with, regain those Twin Star titles from the dastardly Magenta?
I mean, it's the worst kept secret in professional wrestling. It's got to be Megaton.
Absolutely. Has to be.
Like, come on, it's right there. It's literally like you have the number 1 draft pick and you don't pick Michael Jordan. It's just like, duh, come on.
Absolutely.
No, I don't think, to answer your question, I think she'll probably pick Yuzuki, but I think that the Magenta will get the win there. I think it should be Celine Flora that does take the tag belt. So we'll get into it, because Celine Flora had their first tag match, which is just Yuzuki and Tanaka on these shows we're gonna talk about. I'm like, boy, howdy, let's just put these two together forever. Like, literally. This is gonna be a great match. The fact that we're gonna get Mia Momono versus Utami Hayashishita in some sort of way, and Miko Ano in some sort of way. Obviously, the never-ending feud of Senka and Seri, which is, put it in any which way, I'm good for. But we'll see some great stuff, with Magenta versus probably Utami and Yuzuki. I mean, it's right here. You can literally set it up right here. And what I like about this is taking place at Marvelous. We've seen pretty much the majority of this feud take place in Marigold. But now we're going to get this in Marvelous, in Korakuen Hall. We do know that Marvelous is on Wrestle Universe, but it's only a few shows. So hopefully this will be either live streamed or a VOD within the next day or two. Did they, by chance, Rob, say how the viewing of this is going to go?
No, they did drop a couple of Marvelous shows onto Wrestle Universe, I think today, actually.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I would love to say that it's going to be live streamed with it being Korakuen Hall, but I don't know.
especially with that main event, which I guess you'll get into in a moment, buddy. But the last question on this match is this one fall? Is this elimination style? I know we've seen these 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 like gauntlet style. Did they by chance give the rules or not just yet?
Not just yet, no. Well, not that I have seen. Someone may well comment on the video and tell me, but I couldn't find them while I was writing the news piece.
I do want to say I'm glad that this show is happening in a couple weeks because there's nothing going on in Joshi at all.
No, absolutely not.
No, there's no. I mean, we don't have any tournaments or nothing. So when this was announced, it's like, thank God, finally something.
Well, I didn't know if we'd be able to podcast that week because what are we going to talk about? Like, oh God,
the weather.
Well, we do that anyway. To be fair. Because apparently we're just two old men talking about the clouds.
We'll just stretch it out.
An hour and a half talking about clouds. Yeah, the main event of this show, or what I assume is going to be the main event of this show, is for the AAAW Tag Team Championships. Spark Rush, Sari and Takumi Iroha defending their championships against, and you may have heard of them, I don't know, Team 200 kg, Chihiro Hashimoto and you. Talk about an all-star tag team match. Bloody hell, that's going to absolutely slap.
Yeah, now it's like we got Sendai girls coming into this. So that's really cool as well. Again, there's pretty much no more forbidden doors in professional wrestling. It's like very, everybody's working with each other and everybody's having great matches and everybody's learning different philosophies and styles of not only wrestling, but booking and production of shows. And Korakuen Hall just seems to be putting out so many great shows. I know like Pro Wrestling Nola sold it out like twice. We saw obviously Marigold did over 1,000 people. Stardom did about 1,200 on the show. We'll talk about when we do the Stardom cast this week. And now we got this great show. I just reviewed on Talk Joshi, the Sendai Girls show with the Hazuki. Yes, with Hazuki and Dash Sasako almost getting arrested after their match. But and then we have now Marvelous is into the fold here. So again, it's awesome. Again, my guess would be, and again, if you folks know, please let us know. My guess would be, with it being Korakuen Hall, with that main event of all that star power, this match here with Marvelous versus Marigold, a lot of star power, Wrestle Universe now starting to cover Marvelous. My guess it'll be probably a live stream. Because I think that would do well for everybody. Do great for Marvelous, do great for Sendai Girls, would do great for Marigold. They're all under the Wrestle Universe umbrella. Seems like a no-brainer to me, Rob, if they would just to live stream it.
Now, I think there may be an issue with live streaming because I believe that Marvelous do have some sort of, not necessarily a pay-per-view service. And Colin, long-time listener of the show, Colin, hello, Colin, by the way, I hope you're doing well, constantly tells me how to watch these Marvelous shows, and every single time I'm like, brilliant, I'll watch that, and then I completely forget how to find it.
Welcome to my world, Colin. Welcome to my world.
Here we go.
Texting Rob and
yeah, so you can have unlimited viewing of Marvelous through their own. So here we go, Nico Video. So you can watch it through Nico Video. Now, I don't know if that's live or if that is a video on demand service, but I don't know if there will be some sort of issue if they are live streaming through Nico Video and Wrestle Universe. They might not want to live stream it through Wrestle Universe. That might just house the video on demand.
Yeah, but again, I think everything would be easier just through Wrestle Universe.
I agree. Yeah,
maybe that's eventually where they're going to pivot to. Hopefully, that's where they pivot to. Plus, not only is it easier, everything's easy to find. We have a Wrestle Universe subscription, so to me, that would just be the best for everybody. So I don't know. We shall see, my friend. But again, I'm really glad that this show's happening because we got nothing to talk about in the month of August when it comes to Joshi Puro Wrestle, buddy.
I mean, the universe has to be, without question, the most bang for your buck when it comes to wrestling subscriptions. Like the amount that you get for the fairly nominal fee is just wild. It really is, and that's just from the women's side. Like then you throw in DDT and Pro Wrestling Noah and stuff. Like, yeah, just absolutely wild the value that you get for your money. Speaking of shows, Matt Turner, and you might be going, Rob, this isn't a WWE show. What is this? No. WWE have announced that they will be running Super Show Japan in Tokyo from Ryogokugan on Friday, October 17th and Saturday, October 18th. And there might be some of you going, so what? Well, Io Shirai, or Io Sky, should I say, has been announced for these shows. And wouldn't you know it, Mr. Turner, it is just a week away from Marigold Grand Destiny, which is the 26th of October. Now, Matt, if you were to tell me that the timing was completely coincidental, I would tell you you are a fool. We've been talking about how we think Io Sky might well be turning up at Grand Destiny. I don't think there's anyone left that's saying we're adding 2 and 2 and getting 5 here. Like, all the timing has fit. I feel like Io is like 90% going to be turning up at this Grand Destiny show.
Yeah, this was announced earlier today, and obviously Rob talked about, he just talked about, the second biggest thing to probably happen on that show. He tiptoed around the first thing, and thank you for letting me do the big news. Gunther versus Megaton, more than
Absolutely
likely.
has to be the WWE and Marigold crossover we all need. Gunther completely helpless. Megaton second rope Megaton press. Boom, your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. We've seen titles change in Japan before.
This is maybe she breaks out the moonsault where she keeps teasing it,
That's true. Yeah, maybe.
But,
maybe.
Obviously, all jokes aside, yeah, we thought maybe we get like a Summer Destiny like we did last year, and then once it was announced we're doing Grand Destiny in October, like, oh, maybe that's when EO's schedule is open, because again, you don't book Sumo Hall a year and a half into your existence, not unless you have an ace up your sleeve that you're going to have to draw a big number to make your money back. Because we know that Ryugoku, from what we understand, Sumo Hall is a very expensive venue to run, and you do need to draw like 3,000 tickets just about, to kind of make your money back and whatnot. So it's like, okay, that's probably when EO's schedule opens. And when this was announced, I was like, wait, when's Grand Destiny? And I was like, oh, funny how that worked out. Yeah, I mean, it's not unless anything crazy happens. My guess is EO will be staying in Japan for a week or two, and then she's going to be showing up on Grand Destiny, more than likely taking on Mayu Iwatani in a match that we have not seen in quite some time. And it's great. And then Mayu and Io, they were great in 2016, great in 2017. They are better now. They are better, especially Io is a bigger global star now. I mean, obviously she's a massive star. So that is literally like when we got Io versus Utami last year, like, wow, this is like a fever dream. We never thought we would see this match before, and we're getting it. And now we are getting Io versus Mayu part like 5 or 6, if you want to count their Cinderella matches and whatnot. But you know what I mean. Regardless, it's going to be amazing. Again, more than likely, that is going to be the match, one of your big main event matches at Ryugoku. Again, we're not stooges. We weren't told anything. I already had people like asking me, Matt, what do you know? What do you know? I'm like, I know as much as you do. You know what I mean? And again, we don't bug around for anything. And even if somebody tells us something, we don't, mum's the word. But again, Rob, as you said, 2 and 2, it does not equal 5. It equals 4. We saw Io last year at Marigold. We're seeing, the show's a week before Grand Destiny, Sumo Hall. Who did Marigold get? They got the big star Mayu and Io. They have all that history together. I mean, does not take Dave Meltzer, Sherlock Holmes, or Batman to figure this one out, buddy.
Although that would be a pretty dope-ass Marigold faction, wouldn't it? Batman, Sherlock Holmes. Who's the other one?
Batman, the world's greatest detective.
Dave Meltzer, Sherlock Holmes, and Batman. And names of that faction on the back of a postcard, please, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, look, I think if Io was still women's champion, we might be having a different conversation. Obviously, she's dropped that belt now. I don't think she gets it back at SummerSlam. I think they're running with Naomi and Jade Cargill as the program going forward. Io needs a break. So this would make the perfect time for her to, stay in Japan for a bit. Obviously, actually see her fiance slash husband. I don't know if she is married to Evil or if she's engaged to Evil or if she's just boyfriend and girlfriend with Evil. I don't know. But, to see her family and to have an absolute banger against Mayu Utani. And Misfit Wrestling Podcast actually asked us earlier today whether we think that Mayu Utani and Io Sky is the match. I think if Io Sky is turning up at Ryogoku, she is wrestling one person and one person only, and that's Mayu. Now, if that is in a tag match, and they potentially sort of say, we're going to have a singles match next year at Ryogoku and do that, I don't know. Or whether they just go, no, we're doing a singles match. Misfit did also ask about whether we think it's for the Superfly title. I don't think a title was needed for this match at all. Like, a title would actually bring it down a little bit for me. Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of those where it's just a case of you've got two of the best wrestlers in the entire world. Just let them go. Utami and Io was a fantastic match. That wasn't for a title. So it is just a main attraction match. But yeah, I think if Io, and it, in my mind, it is like 90% now that she is going to be on this show. The timing it's too coincidental to be coincidental. I imagine that it is to wrestle Mayu, in which case, how lucky are we as Marigold fans to finally see Io versus Mayu again.
Yeah, because you started covering Stardom in 2019 and I was in 2021. So we never saw those matches as they happened, and we'd be able to watch this match. And as it happened, but more than likely I'll be watching the show live, not unless something crazy. I'm trying to think when Comic-Con is. I think it's the week. Whatever. It's not like I've gotten up at 2:00 in the morning at a Comic-Con with my iPad and watched Stardom. But yeah, I'll be watching said match live. But the rest of that card is going to be interesting because you don't know if a Kairi, a Julia, I mean, those are all potential, Miko Ano versus Utami. That would be my guess for the championship, especially if Miko Ano does win the Dream Star, which again, folks, you're going to get 2 Marigold episodes. So we're going to find out who myself and Rob Goodwin have picked to win the Dream Star. And we are, out of all the Dream Stars that have happened in the history of Marigold, we are 100%. We have predicted the winner right each and every year. So
100% record.
So a lot of momentum, but a lot of pressure on us too, buddy. A lot of pressure on us too, because we could drop from 100 to 50% just in one tournament.
High stakes indeed. I'd argue it's higher stakes for us than it is for any of the wrestlers in the tournament.
I do want to point this out. They are running something with Bayley being very upset and vocal that she wasn't on WrestleMania and not on SummerSlam. And she did say last year after the Io and Utami match that she wants to wrestle in Japan in Marigold and she wants to wrestle Mirai. So, yes, I'm going to put that in the universe. I am going to put no money on it, maybe $1, because why not? Bayley versus Mirai is going to happen on Grand Destiny.
Bloody hell. I mean, as we record, I know that Dakota Kai has only got 2 days left before her 90-day no-compete's up. So maybe she turns up again. The thing is, like, it's very, very easy for us to say, oh, Marigold are going to book a WWE versus Marigold Supercard. That just is not the case.
A lot of money. Yeah, that's a lot of money too. Yeah, they have to pay for the WWE talent.
Io Sky is now a worldwide, internationally recognized talent, one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. And that's not just me having a bias because I love Io Sky. It's, known by pretty much every wrestling journalist out there that Io Sky is damn near perfect as a pro wrestler, with the exception of Megaton. And, the amount of money that it's going to take to get her in, you're not going to be able to afford to then bring in a Kairi, a Dakota Kai, not that
Julia,
you'd need to bring everyone in, but a Julia, all these different people. And plus, I said this about the 5-star Grand Prix. I've said it about the Dream Star. I don't want to see people bought in to take top positions from those that have worked all year to earn it. If we're getting Kairi in the semi-main, that is instead of, a Mirai, or, a Victoria Yuzuki, someone who has wrestled every single match on every single tour of every single show, I want to see them given the limelight. If it's a one-off, fine. Io Sky versus Mayu Iwatani, there's several thousand reasons that is the right move for Marigold, but I don't want to see 5, 6, 7 WWE talents on a card. And I think simply, without all of that even considered, cost-wise, it's not going to happen. So I would be amazed if there is more than Io on this card. However, I wouldn't necessarily argue if it's going to be Bayley versus Mirai. Moving on then, just very quickly before we head into the shows that we're going to be talking about today, Marigold have announced quite a few homecoming matches. On the 9th of August, Marigold will be running the show in Miyako City Gymnasium in Iwate, which is Mirai's hometown. She'll be having a homecoming match in the 6-woman tag. It'll be her, Mayu Iwatani, and Victoria Yuzuki versus the Darkness Revolution, Ria Sato, Misa Matsui, and Nagisa Takibana. Nagisa Nozaki. I apologize because we've just been talking about Nagisa Takibana. We then move on to my Sakarai's homecoming show. A couple of interesting things to know here. So the 16th of August in Ichikawa City Cultural Hall in Chiba, where, by the way, Utami Hayashishita will be taking on Sarayama Oka in the Dreamstar Grand Prix, just FYI. My Sakurai's homecoming match will be her and the debuting Mai Yukihi as well against Miku Aono and Koki Amare. Keep an eye out for that match. That match promises to be very, very good. And then Chika Goto, after seemingly every time she's been in the ring with Mayu Iwatani demanding this singles match, she finally gets it in her homecoming match, which is from the Sun Pearl Arakawa in Tokyo on the 22nd of August. She finally faces Mayu Iwatani one-on-one. Matt Turner, 3 very, very tasty homecoming matches, especially those latter 2.
Rob, I'm kind of just looking at like these matches from the graphics you just showed. If you're watching on YouTube, we have the 5-star, the Dream Star, the Marvelous show we just talked about. I believe Sendai Girls has a couple smashing cards.
Yep.
August of 2025, this year, may be the busiest and best month for the Marigold Standard / Talk Joshi / the Stardom Cast. We're going to be busy, and it's the summer of Saya Kamatani on the Patreon as well. So, wowzers, we're going to be busy boys in the best way possible. I'm smiling from ear to ear because there's so much great wrestling to watch and then talk about. Wow, I mean, who's got it better than us? This is going to be terrific. We finally get this Chika Goto versus Mayu Iwatani match, which they've been kind of planting the seeds from ever since like Mayu's debut with Marigold. They've been teasing it and then pull the trigger here. Yeah, Mayu Kigi coming in, her and Miko Ano. I think me and you may have to do an under-over or how many kicks in that match, because then you have Sakurai. You know, she loves the Yakuza kick as well as Chika Goto. She loves the Yakuza kick as well. So we might have to set the under-over on kicks and boots in that match. But yeah, a lot of great stuff. Again, the Dream Star. Again, I cannot wait to talk to you on our Dream Star Primer, which again, we're recording right after this. But a lot of great wrestling, my friend. Might be our busiest month in the history of us podcasting. And that's not a good thing. That is a great thing, brother. I'm super pumped for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, just before we get into these shows, I did mention earlier that some of these Dream Star cards really do have the ability to become show of the year contenders. I'm thinking about those 2 opening shows from Osaka Ready and Arena number 2 on the 2nd of August, and that Korakuen Hall show on the 30th of August is absolutely stacked. And we're going to go through obviously all the competitors and all of the cards in detail on the primer, which will have already dropped, by the way, by the time you're listening to this. But not just for Utami versus Mayu, there are some really, really, really tasty matches on that Korakuen Hall card, and I cannot wait to talk to you about it. However, we have got 3 shows to talk about. Marigold dropped 3 shows over the last weekend. We did want to cover these earlier, but unfortunately, with the way that Marigold does video on demand with Wrestle Universe, it's quite tricky to work out schedules around when they're actually releasing. So we thought it was better for all 3 of these to come out, and then we would go through the matches. So we're going to start with Marigold Burning Desire 2025 Night 14 as we near the end of this tour from the 19th of July 2025, the Okayama Convention Center in Okayama. 284 people in attendance for Marigold's debut in the Okayama Prefecture. In terms of the results, then we open with a singles match. Now Ishikawa defeated Hummingbird with a spine buster in 7 minutes and 16 seconds. Three-way match, Misa Matsui defeated Kokamray and Megaton, with Misa Matsui cheating to win, let's face it, by pinning Megaton with a La Magistral cradle in 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Tag team match, Chika Goto and Minami Yuki defeated Utami Hayashishita and Yuki Yamazaki, with Chika Goto pinning the Mad Dog of Naniwa with the chokeslam in 10 minutes and 49 seconds. In a 6-woman tag semi-main event, the Darkness Revolution team of Rhea Sato, Chiaki, and Nagisa Nozaki defeated Mai Iwatani, Miko Ano, and Kazuna Tanaka. Rhea Sato pinning Kazuna Tanaka with the Osui Suplex in 60 minutes and 4 seconds. That, by the way, Mai Iwatani's first multi-woman loss. And then finally, in your main event, the 6-woman tag match, Mai Sakurai, Seri Yamaoka, and Shino coming back for the first time in a while, defeating Mirai, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kamomo Minami. Seri Yamaoka submitting Minami with an ankle lock in 13 minutes and 33 seconds. So, Matt, we talk all the time about now Ishikawa and how good she is and how we want to see her focused on more. And obviously, I know it's hard with the range of talent that we've got in that upper main event scene in Marigold. It is quite hard to burst into that scene. However, nice singles outing for now. The Curse of Hummingbird does appear to be continuing, though.
The Marigold Standard curse. Again, folks, we take full responsibility for that. That is on us. Yes, absolutely. We know when we've done wrong. Great match. My only thing was I wish this went like 10, 11 minutes. 7 minutes, still really good stuff. You had two baby faces in here, two over baby faces, two kind of distinct styles. Like now Ishikawa is like more of your hard hitter, more of the bomb throwing, where Hummingbird is more of like your lucha style, junior style and submission wrestling. Starts off with some really good chain wrestling. We have Hummingbird kind of gets the better of that. We do see that hanging armbar that she does. I think she calls it the bird's nest. Really, really fun stuff. She kind of gets the advantage. Hope she does. I could have sworn you said that. I could have sworn I picked it up from you.
If that's not what she calls it, that's absolutely what she needs to call it.
Not unless it was flying penguin, but this pet penguin is a bird. Regardless, okay, now I'm getting more into amphibians. I'm going to have to call Lily. She knows her animals. Anywho, hit some strikes. Then now Ishikawa makes her comeback. She just starts throwing bombs. She uses the angel's wings to set up her version of the sit-out spine buster. 3.25 stars. Again, you have two over baby faces to start your show. Really good match. If this would have went like 9-10 minutes, I think that would have been closer to the 4-star mark. But regardless, solid outing to start this really good show, buddy.
I say this all the time. I don't compare Stardom and Marigold because they're two very different companies. However, one way in which Marigold is blowing Stardom out of the water at the moment is these graphics, because these match graphics are absolutely killer. Moving on then, 3-way match. Megaton, Kokamray, Misa Matsui. Megaton falling again at the hands of the Darkness Revolution. This time, Misa Matsui getting the role. I mean, it makes sense, obviously, because Megaton is the only one of these three not a part of the Dream Star. However, doesn't ease the wound, Matt.
Rob, you had to go through the first two matches with heartbreak. Hummingbird lost the first match. I know we love now Ishikawa, but Hummingbird loses match 1, Megaton loses match 2. You're like, oh, come on. Like, can we stop the bleeding, please? Like, you had to be down in the dumps by the time we got to match 3, which was pretty good, which we're going to get to in a second. But I just need to know, were you okay after your 2-year favorites losing back-to-back to open up these cards here?
I'll be perfectly honest, man. I did have to pause it after this and just sort of go outside, take a couple of deep breaths of fresh air, do a couple of laps of the garden, just walking and sort of alone with my thoughts a little bit, because it was a trying time, these opening 2 matches. And obviously, that opener, I don't particularly mind that, because now Ishikawa and Hummingbird actually have really good chemistry and it was a good match. But this one stung. This one really did sting. And Misa Matsui continues to hammer away at our love of Megaton. It's difficult at times.
Yeah, you had, again, 3-ways are tough to do, especially when you have 3 distinct styles, but they made it work. Like, Megaton comes in, she's over, don't get me wrong, but she does her comedy shtick, and then they kind of pitch her out. You almost have a mini match with Kokamray versus Misa Matsui. I was like, ooh, really good instant chemistry. Again, 2 different styles. You have Psycho Speed versus the hard hitter and Kokamray, but they really made it work. Then Megaton comes back in to do some more comedy, the Megaton press, the Megaton roll. really funny stuff. But eventually, though, Kokamray kind of gets pitched out, and then we do have Misa Matsui take advantage and cheat, as you said before, buddy, to get the Lamahi straw cradle. But that's what heels do. That's what heels do. 3.25 stars.
It's just how we have to live, I suppose. Moving on, tag team match, Utami and Yuki Yamazaki against Chikagoto and Minami Yuki. Chikagoto and Minami Yuki fast becoming one of my favorite acts in Marigold. Their chemistry really is off the charts at the moment. They work so well together, and that permeated into today's show. And I know that obviously we are going to be reviewing that show, but I did just want to give a special shout out to that singles match because they had a really, really good match that surpassed all my expectations. Really good, especially as this is the last show before the Dream Star, and it really did showcase the progress that Chikagoto has made since last year's Dream Star, where we were having conversations about, well, can she go 15 minutes? And now it's a case of, I want these matches to go longer. You know, the fire and determination that she brings. She's in there with, you know, the Marigold World Champion going back to this tag team match from the 19th. And I thought both women did very, very well when they were given their bits with Utami. Yuki Yamazaki, again, for me, she's another great find in terms of rookies. Like, it doesn't feel like she's a rookie at all. She's been used really, really well by Marigold.
There's literally none of these rookies in Joshi that look like rookies, whether it's Marigold, whether it's Stardom, whether it's, you can't tell me Sanka feels like a rookie. Like, you know what I mean?
God,
no way. You know what I mean? Whether it's Marvelous, whether it's Sendai Girls, it's just like, holy jeez. It's like, I mean, unbelievable. Yeah. And Yamazaki is somebody that I'm really enjoying on these shows. And again, especially when she's in these tag matches and she's either on the same team or opposite your big main eventers, your Mayus, your Mirais, your Sakarais, your Utami Hayashi's. And again, Utami's in this match. Of course, you know, she takes care of her. She takes care of Minami Yuki as well. Minami Yuki properly gets a lot in on your big champion. A lot of this, though, is sprinkling in with Chikagoto versus Utami. I'm like, ooh, really great hard-hitting chemistry. But ultimately, this match really is just getting Chikagoto some more momentum as we go into the Dream Star and her big homecoming match with Mayu Iwatani. I thought they did a great job making Chikagoto look like the star in this match. Excellent stuff. Again, Tommy Hayashisa just seems to have chemistry with everybody. We've seen it in Stardom, whether she was teaming with Kamatani, Izumi, Miyu Amasaki, and we see it in Marigold when they just happen to just put her in makeshift tag teams. Again, maybe trying to find her members of King's Journey, Rob. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe that is her journey because she is the king of this company, and her journey is to find other members. And she's pretty much, I think, teamed with everybody in this company.
She has, you're right, man.
At this point, and she makes it work, which really just goes to show you what a great once-in-a-generation wrestler Utami Hayashishita is. 3.5 stars, but again, ultimately, this is just getting Chikagoto some more momentum as we go into the very busy month that is August with that Dream Star Grand Prix, brother.
Moving on to the semi-main event, Rhea Sato partnering once again with the Darkness Revolution. Matt, I'm going to be chatting a lot about how Rhea Sato was slotted in to the Darkness Revolution since her debut with the faction at Korakuen Hall. How do you think she approached this match? Obviously, at Korakuen Hall, it was the first time that she debuted as a heel. You know, it had only been a couple of days since she'd actually turned heel, so hadn't had a lot of time to change movesets or, you know, sort of change the way she wrestles too much. How do you think she did in this match, especially in her exchanges with Kazuna Tanaka?
They put her in, this is great booking. Obviously, the Korakuen Hall show was based around those last handful of matches. So it was just like, here's Rhea Sato. They brought her out in a car, you know, really funny, did some heel stuff, and then we kind of moved on. But look at the players she's in the ring with. 3 of your most beloved baby faces in this company. Mayu Iwatani, my opinion, the greatest women's wrestler of all time. One of the greatest, the best baby face probably since Ricky Steamboat, Ricky Morton, which is the highest praise I can give anybody. Who doesn't love Kazuna Tanaka and Miko Ano? She's a baby face that's over because she's a killer. So you're literally across the ring from 3 people that everybody loves. And again, Kazuna Tanaka and Rhea Sato, they have that heat from the turn. And if you don't remember that, as soon as the bell rings, these two go at each other. Kazuna Tanaka, boy, howdy, she was upset. I was like, yeah, serious. Like, and again, even though like the heel turn is about Rhea Sato, we're putting some more stuff on Tanaka as well. Because again, and a lot of that had to do with her partner, Victoria Zuki as well. So you're seeing that crossover, seeing a very aggressive Kazuna Tanaka, more aggressive than normal. So I think that the booking here was perfect for Rhea Sato. I think that Chiaki and Nagisa and Ozaki, they looked really well. Again, they're the best heel tag team in this company. They understand how to be heels, bending and breaking the rules, not in front of the referee, getting heat, and your dance partners cannot be any better. Again, so then you have Tanaka come out on fire. We get some heel work on her. They start the heat. They do basically 2 different sets of hot tags, one to Ano and one to Mayu. And obviously Mayu's so explosive. Miko Ano with those drop kicks, especially when she hits those Kenta Kachihori Shibata style drop kicks in the corner. I'm immediately taken back to, like, you know, those killers, two of my favorite hard hitters ever in wrestling, in Kenta and Shibata. And I draw that comparison with Miko Ano because, again, she's one of my favorite wrestlers in this company. So I thought it was really great stuff. And then you had some great back and forth submissions with Kazuna Tanaka and Rhea Sato. Really great chemistry. We've been seeing them in tag matches even before the heel turn. When Tanaka came back from that back injury, like, these two really work well together. Their styles make fights. Their styles really, really mesh. Chiaki, Nagisa, and Ozaki, they know how to get proper heat. And Miko Ano and Mayu, they know how to build that heat up to the proper point when the heat gets the hottest, and then for the baby faces to make the comeback to get the biggest reaction. Ultimately, though, it's Rhea Sato, you know, using the Rhea slide, as I call it, named after the Marufuji slide, to getting the win over Kazuna Tanaka. And again, wisely, the heels needed to win this match. You needed Rhea Sato to get another win because you just turned her heel. That's basically what everybody's talking about in Marigold. This is my favorite match from the show. I thought it was great. The fact that it went over 16 minutes, enough time to tell their story. Great waterfall finishes towards the end. Hard-hitting action. You had over baby faces, over heels. People understood their roles. Everybody got over. 4 stars for me, buddy. I thought this was phenomenal. This was old school psychology mixed in with that Marigold style that we all love so well. That Joshi style that we love so well.
Yeah, it was my favorite match as well. What's your opinion? Obviously, Kazuna Tanaka, you mentioned that back injury. Back still heavily taped. Are we concerned about that? Obviously, she's got a run now in the Dreamstar Grand Prix. She's, spoiler, although it shouldn't be a spoiler because I think the primer is actually coming out before this, but she's my breakout star for Star League. Are you concerned that her back is still taped up?
She looked pretty good in these matches. That's one thing I've noticed. You can kind of see if they're on the apron or if they're limping. But again, they're all multi-person matches. And the heat she's taking, she's not taking like superplexes. Like the heat she's taking in this, she's taking submissions and in the corner, like where she's not really bumping. And again, we still have a little bit of time for her to heal up a little bit more. And it could be a precaution. You know, we did talk about that. We thought they rushed her back last year because she was in, and then she was like taped up like a mummy, and then she was out again. I'm like, I think you're rushing too much. And when you have somebody that young, you don't want anything to ruin their career because she has the potential to do anything and everything she wants to do in this business. And again, is in this loaded Marigold roster. Now I'm assuming she's going to have a big match in Ryugoku Kakakigen in October, where a lot of eyes are going to be on her for the first time. I think she'll be okay. I think she'll be okay because these are going to be some hard matches in the best way possible, because your tournament season is when you're at the best of the best of the best. So again, she's in the multi-person matches. She's not taking 450, or she's not, she's not Hazuki and Dash Chisako doing insane bumps, off the top stairwell of Korakuen Hall. She's getting her reps in. Hopefully her being taped up, Rob, is just, a precaution for the Dream Star. So yeah, hopefully that's all that it is, buddy.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely. She's absolutely one of my favorites in Marigold, perhaps second to Mayu Iwatani. Actually, thinking about it, she's fantastic, and she has no ceiling in what she can achieve. Her and Victoria Yuzuki, especially, I think, are two that could very well break into that main event scene within the next 18 months. And I mean, like, be top main eventers, white and red belt challengers. Moving on, though, we move on to our main event, my Sakarai teaming with Seru Yamaoka and the returning Shino against Mirai, Victoria Yuzuki, and Komomo Minami. Matt, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I forget, like, Shino, we only seen her a handful of times. So it's like she comes in and it was like, oh yeah, Shino, she's in the main event. And it's like, she seems like a main eventer. Again, somebody that's only wrestled a handful of matches, and you think she's wrestled a handful of years. Very much, like, pretty much with the exception of my Sakurai and Mirai, everybody else in this match is relatively young. Like, I think Yuzuki's got the most experience with like 2 years, which is crazy. Sari and Mirai, great hard-hitting stuff. Obviously, it's basically Team Mirai versus Team Mai Sakurai. we know they're great as a team, and they're great as opponents as well. They have really great chemistry, whether they're in the same corner or across the ring from each other. There was really great stuff there. Shino and Victoria Yuzuki, they had like instant chemistry. Like, wow, like that's a rivalry I would like to see. I loved this pairing. We've seen it a lot of times with Yuzuki versus Sarah Yamaoka, because Yuzuki's trying to use that junior high-speed superfly style. Eventually, Sarah just got to like do one thing to slow her down. Like, I just need to catch you once. And like, whether it's the spear or whether it's the ankle lock or grounding her, they got great chemistry. And again, Mariah May Sakarai, they get what they need to get in. But ultimately, this basically almost pans out towards the end after everybody gets what they need to get in to tell their story and get themselves over. Comes down almost like a singles match in the main event of Kamome Minami and Sarah Yamaoka. And great chemistry with them, too. Really great stuff back and forth. Some great near falls. And then I like how it looked like Kamome was going to get the better and pull off the upset on Sari. And then Shino comes in with like that jumping, flying, floating knee and kick, which looks like she's just hovering in air, like doesn't even look human. That opens up the door for Sari to hit the leg lace roll up and then to transition that into the ankle lock for the submission. Really great stuff. Again, you have Mirai and Mai Sakurai. Not like they're 30 years in the business, but they're the vets in this match. It's basically putting everything together. But all these young, and again, Mirai and Mai Sakurai are very young in their careers as well. But Yuzuki, Kamome Minami, Shino, and Sarah Yamaoka, they all look like $1 million. The match was set up to make sure everybody looks good. And ultimately, that's what they did. But even though Kamome Minami is the one that ate the fall, she, to me, was like the MVP of this match. They did a great job getting her over. And I said this when she didn't qualify for the Dream Star. I'm like, I think that come fall and winter, they're going to have big plans for her to start pushing her up. So then when she does qualify for her first Dream Star, probably next year, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And obviously, we'll see a lot more of Shino and Sarah Yamaoka, Victoria Yuzuki, and the likes on that last show, which I can't wait to talk about. However, before we get to the 21st, we must first pay a visit to Osaka, because that's where Burning Desire 2025 Night 15 was emanating from. 20th of July 2025, from one of Marigold's favorite venues, the 176 box in Osaka. The attendance 515 people, and this is a fantastic number for Marigold. It makes it the second consecutive sellout at the venue and the second consecutive 500 plus attendance, down marginally from the last show there, which was 523 people from the 14th of June. However, it is still the second highest house Marigold have drawn to the venue of the 11 times they've run there, and continues a run of fantastic attendances for the company. So nothing but good news coming out of this show in regards to attendance. In terms of the results, then we open with a three-way match. Chiaki defeated Naoya Ishikawa and Megaton. Poor Megaton. She's just getting beaten by everyone in Darkness Revolution lately. Chiaki pinning Megaton with a diving guillotine leg drop in 7 minutes and 43 seconds. Tag team match, Kokamray and Flying Penguin, the return of our Lord and Saviour, Flying Penguin, defeated Kamome Minami and Hummingbird, with Kokamray pinning Komomo with the Amethyst Butterfly in 13 minutes and 19 seconds. Tag team match, Victoria Yuzuki and Utami Hayashishita defeated Mirai and Yuka Yamazaki. Yuzuki debuting a brand new finisher. She is labeled, the Victory Shooting, which she hit on Yuki Yamazaki in 11 minutes and 6 seconds. 6-woman tag match, the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui, Ria Sato, and Nagisa Nozaki defeated Mai Sakurai, Kazuna Tanaka, and Arina Yamanaka. Misa Matsui pinning Kazuna Tanaka with a diving double foot stomp in 11 minutes and 29 seconds. Keep an eye out for that match in the Dream Star Grand Prix, which is one of my low-key picks to be one of my favorites of the tournament. And then in your main event, Mayu Utani, Sari Yamaoka, and Shino defeated Chika Goto, Miko Ano, Minami Yuki, with Sari Yamaoka pinning Minami Yuki with a German suplex in 17 minutes and 41 seconds. Matt Turner, another opening match, another loss for the Great One.
Unbelievable. Think of her comeback, buddy. Just think of once tournament season's out of the way and we did that little thing with EO, like how much, you know what I mean? That's what it's all going to be about, buddy. Have faith. You have your comedy. You get your hard-hitting stuff with Chiaki and now Ishikawa. Eventually, though, it's just you want to get Chiaki a win here because, again, she's in the Dream Star. You're going to want to build up some wins. A fun little match. 3 stars for me. There's not much substance. You get, a good way to open her up because Chiaki's over as a heel. Everybody loves now Ishikawa. Everybody loves Megaton. Everybody played their role, but ultimately this was just about getting a cheap win, a cheating win from Chiaki onto Megaton.
It's just a shame that people can only beat Megaton by cheating because they know how good she is.
And in 3 ways.
Exactly.
Let's see somebody. Let's go 1-on-1. Tough guy.
Yeah.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh, tough guy.
I mean, it makes sense for Chiaki to get the win. Obviously, they want to heat her up ahead of the Dream Star. Makes perfect sense. Tag team match, the return of Flying Penguin. So that immediately cheered me up. Kokamray and Flying Penguin defeating Komomo Minami and Hummingbird. Unfortunately, Hummingbird eating another loss, though she wasn't at least pinned in this match. Matt, what were your thoughts on this?
Solid match. Almost going over 13 minutes, so they had time to tell their story. This was almost divided into almost like 2 singles matches. You had the birds against each other, Flying Penguin and Hummingbird. Great chain wrestling back and forth. I mean, these two very seamless, very much like the British World of Sports style. And then you get Kokamray and Komomo Minami really, really ramping up the violence. Your hard hitting, your suplexes, your striking and whatnot. Again, the birds, great stuff. But ultimately, this kind of boils down to just a singles match with Kokamray and Komomo Minami. Again, Komomo looking really good here, even though in defeat. And nice seeing Koki bringing back out the Amethyst Butterfly. I think she's only done that once or twice since her return. So her getting the big win with that big move. 3.25 stars for me. Good sir.
Yeah, it's interesting because Komomo Minami, if you think that she's got another year now till the next Dream Star, her and Minami Yuki are both people that I'm really excited to see given that opportunity in the Dream Star next year. I mean, obviously, I'm presuming that Senka probably won't be in the tournament next year, but it's a really, really competitive field now if they keep the Dream Star at 16 people, which I do like, and I've said many times I like. I'm really intrigued to see what Komomo Minami would do in that situation next year. Moving on then to the third match on the card, Utami and Victoria Yuzuki versus Mirai and Yuka Yamazaki. As I mentioned, Victoria Yuzuki debuting another finishing move that she has christened the Victory Shooting. She did go onto the mic after the match and promised that she will be debuting more moves during the Dream Star Grand Prix, which is something to be very excited about. First thing, Matt, what did you think of the Victory Shooting? And secondly, more Utami and Mirai together. When is that never a good thing?
Yeah, you're right. But as far as the first thing, yeah, really cool. Very well executed. Very well done. And again, now we're getting more hyped up for Victoria Yuzuki's run in this year's Dream Star because she's adding more stuff to her already impressive arsenal. And you can just... it's so infectious how much she loves wrestling. Like you just cannot help but fall in love. If you love wrestling, obviously you're listening to this podcast. I'm assuming you like wrestling at least a little bit. Not unless you're tuning in for myself and Rob's comedic exploits over here, but you can't just love Victoria Yuzuki because how much she loves wrestling. She's constantly improving and how much she dedicates to professional wrestling. But as far as this match goes, this was another learning experience for Yuka. She's teaming with Mirai, one of your main eventers, and she's across the ring. Again, Victoria Yuzuki and Utami. We've seen this pairing before. It works. It works very well. Again, probably 2/3 or 4th or 5th King's Journey. And again, Utami, to the shock of nobody, if you've been following Utami's career, Yuka Yamazaki only has a handful of matches. Utami has just is one of the best wrestlers on this planet. And she makes it look like she can beat the champion. Like she gives her some proper great offense, and Yuka firing back. And on Yuzuki as well, like the machine gun chops, and she does that thing where she does the Lamai Straw cradle, and instead of taking the pin, she takes the back into that crouch face chicken wing. I really like that. I never seen that before. You're right, Mirai and Utami. It's never gonna get old, never gonna get tired. Mirai Yuzuki, yes, please. Really great stuff there between the two because they have different styles. Styles make fights, even though Yuzuki is very hard hitting, especially with those super kicks. But ultimately, though, it was Victoria Yuzuki with her fantastic new finisher that she calls the Victoria Shooting. Is that what it's called, Rob?
The Victory Shooting, I believe.
Oh, I see what they did there. Victoria Shooting. That's maybe they should break it down. Again, really great stuff. And again, I'm loving what they're doing with Yamazaki is they're putting her in the ring, not only tagging, but against wrestlers that she's going to get consistently better. They keep doing this with her and all the other younger wrestlers. You're going to see such a progression in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. That's why I think we see not only Marigold, but all the other Joshi companies, why all these other rookies are progressing so well, is because they're in the ring with the best of the best of the best, and they're only going to get better. 3.5 stars for me, my friend.
Yeah, it's a theme, isn't it, that we're going to be seeing with Utami over these 3 shows. Minami Yuki on the 19th, Yuki Yamazaki on the 20th, and then, of course, all 3 of the youngsters on the 21st in that cracking main event where they pitted the new school of Marigold, let's call them, against the established main eventers. I mean, it's a great match, that is. But yeah, it's great to see that the champion isn't above giving those rookies, giving those younger members of the roster a little bit. I mean, we know how imperious Utami can be and how great she can be in the ring. Just look at that match with Takumi Aroha. But yeah, it's great to see, even on these Wrestle Universe shows or tour shows or house shows, whatever you want to call them. Semi-main event then, Donna's Revolution getting the win again here. Nice to see Arina Yamanaka and Mai Sakurai together again. Kasuna Tanaka, perhaps the person going into the Dream Star with the least momentum. Bless her. She eats another pinfall here. But it is great to see. I brought up Rhea Sato's integration to the Dance Revolution on the last show for a reason, because I think here this was the first time where I felt that she felt confident in her own sort of heelish ways. And again, that torture and her submission-based offense really does lend itself to being a heel.
Rob, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm worried that Rhea Sato's hair is going to catch on fire if it's not already. Doesn't it look like it's on fire? Like, yowzers.
It's quite the render, isn't it? It's quite the render.
I'm worried about her. Again, as I mentioned in the show before, Rhea Sato and Kazuna Tanaka, they don't need, it's violence right from the bell. I'm like, okay, here we go. Eventually the heels bend and break the rules. They get the heat on Kazuna Tanaka. Again, not only is she eating L's, she's getting her butt kicked in these matches. She's got a lot to prove in this tournament, buddy, and I'm really excited for it because we're massive fans of Kazuna Tanaka. Hot tagged Arina Yamanaka. Arina was great, really explosive. Great job showcasing her in this match ahead of her big match that she had as of recording this morning against Mai Iwatani, and I cannot wait to check that out. I'll probably be watching that tonight after dinner. I thought Arina was really explosive. Mai Sakurai, she's the big star here. She comes in, especially she's got great chemistry with Nagisa and Ozaki. We've known that. We've seen those matches before. Nagisa, I still think has that little makeup kit that I think holds the 100,000 yen or whatever it is for Mai Sakurai. So I like how they bring that in. And as much as this match is about Kazuna Tanaka and Rhea Sato, breaks down getting Misa Matsui over. Really great stuff with her and Kazuna Tanaka towards the end. Again, the heels, they cheat. They do what they need to do. They bend and break the rules. The baby faces make the comeback. Ultimately, it's Misa Matsui being able to know what she needs to do, when she needs to do it, to put down poor Kazuna Tanaka. Really fun stuff. 3.5 stars for me. And that double stomp was just so wicked. Like the best double stomp in wrestling this side of Azumi. Like really great stuff.
I mean, Misa Matsui is going to be a bracket buster in that Star League. She really is. I can't wait to see who she beats, because there's going to be some big scalps there. And it wouldn't surprise me if you see her coming out of this tournament, not necessarily having topped the block, but certainly having, maybe pinned a Mirai, a Miko Aono, or even a Mai Sakurai. Do not write her off.
Big scalps. Look at you, buddy. Look at you. Wow, Zeus. Folks, look out.
Moving on to the main event then, Mayu Utani, Seri Yamaoka, and Shino against Miko Aono, Chikagoto, and Minami Yuki. Matt Turner, what did you think of this?
Great match, great main event. We have Miko Aono and Mayu Utani opposite from the ring of each other. So it's like, we might be seeing that again. They sprinkled just enough to give us a tease. Again, Minami Yuki's looking great. Her and Chikagoto as a team really, really works. You said, Rob, that they wrestled each other on today's show. They were across the ring from each other.
Who's that? Sorry,
Chikagoto and Minami Yuki.
Yes, singles match. It was great.
Okay, I'm gonna. You've seen them team, and they even have their own catchphrases down. I'm all about that. It's one thing to be good as a team in the ring. When you got catchphrases down, I'm all for it. So now they're on opposite ends. Ooh, I can't wait to watch that later. I loved how like Shino comes out and she's all fired up, right? Like she's the young teenager, all fired up. Chikagoto's like, all right, get it out of your system. All right, giant swing, half crab. Let's relax. I love that. Like I love how she slows it down. And again, not only do we get sprinkled stuff with Mayu and Miko Ano, but we got more than a sprinkle of Mayu and Chikagoto. Again, very, very interesting how, again, Mayu is, in my opinion, and I think yours as well, the greatest women's wrestler of all time in her prime, come off that great last year run in Stardom, a lot of momentum. Kind of one of her, other than Victoria Zuki, one of the first programs that they're really building up and teasing in her is her and Chikagoto. So a nice rub for Chikagoto because, again, she's put in so much work, especially at the beginning or at the start of this year. Great stuff with Sari and Manami Yuki as well. Great stuff with Sari and Miko Ano. Again, styles make fights. You have that wrestler versus striker, the grappler versus striker. Excellent stuff. Ultimately, though, you have your waterfall finishes towards the end. Mayu looks like $1 million as always. You can tell this almost seems like a Stars style match towards the end. You can tell Mayu was the one kind of putting everything together, and rightfully so, because it all made sense. You got your biggest pops towards the end. Everybody got stuff in towards the end. Everybody got built up, but ultimately it was that unbelievable stalling German suplex. Like Sari just grabbed you. It's like you're going for the ride. It's like going on a roller coaster, Rob. Where you're like tick, 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 tick. Like you're going down. Like just please just do it and end it. And then boom, she hits. I love it. I love how she just makes you think and wait. Like the psychology of the move. Like you're getting planted. Is it now? Is it now? Is it now? No, now it's now. It hits the stalling German suplex on Manami Yuki for the win. 3 3/4 stars. My favorite match of this show. Really great stuff.
I think it's the best use of Mayu Iwatani, especially at the moment, because something we noted when Mayu debuted was that there was, aside from Utami and Mirai, obviously with Nane's retirement, and Miko Ano sort of getting herself just about there was a lack of sort of established star power at the top end of Marigold. And the worst thing you want to do is burn through Mayu Iwatani versus all these top stars first. The last thing you want to do is burn through the Utami singles match, the Mirai singles match, and the Miko Ano singles match in 3 months and then have nothing left. However, just look at today's example, Mayu Iwatani versus Arini Yamanaka. Arini Yamanaka had her best singles match. Mayu Iwatani's out there talking about how she has been really impressed. She was someone who she's watched from afar in Marigold and has been really impressed with. That rub is going to do wonders for Arini Yamanaka. It's going to do wonders for Chika Goto. I think it's the best use of Mayu Iwatani because for a fact that the vast majority of this Marigold roster are going to have their best match so far against Mayu Iwatani. And
Hot take, Rob.
Exactly, because Mayu Iwatani is good at the grabs. Allegedly. So, it makes sense to put them in the ring with Mayu, to have her have a singles program with the Chika Goto, to have her have a singles program with the Kazuna Tanaka. I think it's fantastic use of it, really is, to help her elevate the rest of that Marigold roster, which is what she said she wanted to do when she debuted in the first place. And that's something that we are going to see on the opening night, the Dream Star, when she faces Sari Yamaoka. And Sari did take to the microphone after this match and say that she wanted that big victory on the opening night, that big statement victory when Marigold returned to Osaka on the 2nd of August and she was facing Mayu Iwatani, and what I assume is going to be the main event of that night. Nothing confirmed as of yet. Moving on to the final show that we are going to be covering today, and that is the show from the 21st of July, Burning Desire 2025, night 16. Should I say. This show was from the Kariya City Industrial Promotion Center in Aichi. A house of 456 was reported. It's Marigold's debut in the venue and is the second highest reported house there in 2025. The results are as follows. Opening with a singles match, Kimomo Minami defeating now Ishikawa with the Komo clutch in 8 minutes and 35. Good victory for Kimomo there. Tag team match, Celine Flora, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kazuna Tanaka defeating Hummingbird and Megaton. Kazuna Tanaka finally getting a pinfall. Does happen at the expense of Hummingbird, but she pins her with the heat clutch in 8 minutes and 48 seconds. In a three-way match, Chika Goto defeating Kokamray and Chiaki, pinning Chiaki with the chokeslam in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. In a singles match, my Sakarai defeated Ria Sato, submitting her with the STF in 6 minutes and 26 seconds. In a tag team semi-main event, the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Nagisa Nozaki defeated Mika Wano and Minami Yuki Misa Matsui, pinning Minami Yuki after a flying knee strike in 14 minutes and 14 seconds. I say it all the time. Best flying knee in the business. And then in your main event, 6-woman tag action. And what an all-star tag team this is. Mirai, Mayu Iwatani, and Utami Hayashishita teaming against Seri Yamaoka, Shino, and Yuki Yamazaki. Mirai pinning Shino with a lariat in 14 minutes and 39 seconds. Looking at the opener then, Matt, Komomo Minami getting a pinfall over Now Ishikawa. What do you think about this for an opener?
Great opener. This whole show was great. Like the other two shows were really good.
This
you could have literally taken this card and put in Korakuen Hall. And this was a phenomenal show. Really great match where it looked like Now Ishikawa was really starting to put together like her moveset towards the end to get a win. And she gets rolled up and she looked so like surprised, like, oh my goodness, like I had it. I'm trying to get both these wrestlers needed wins. We've seen Now eat a lot of L's and Komomo Minami eating a lot of L's. Both of them are so disappointed to not qualify for the Dream Star. So it's like, this was a really important match and a great way to start off this show in front of over 450 people. Two baby faces that are great. They understand their roles in this company and had a really great match. Start off the show. Everybody was really into it. Around 9 minutes, enough time to tell their story. Excellent stuff with Komomo, basically almost stealing one on Now Ishikawa. And you can see Now was just like, what? I had it. I was going for my big German suplex, and then she gets rolled up for the 3 count. Good win for Komomo Minami. Again, excellent match, 3 3/4 stars. One of the better openers to start off a show from Marigold in quite some time. Really great stuff from two of my up-and-coming favorite wrestlers in Marigold.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they gave this time. You mentioned it already, but this was the 3rd longest match on the card. So really glad that they were afforded the time. Once again, showed the rapid development of both women, but especially the real peach, Komomo Minami. Tag team action, Celine Flora, Matt, your favorite tag team in all of Marigold, defeating Hummingbird and Megaton. I was going to call them Mummy Bird. I don't know why. I think I was mixing up Hummingbird and Megaton.
Mummy Bird.
Hummingbird.
No, Mummy Bird. And the t-shirt can be a bird flying with mummy around it, and then the Megaton face paint on the bird.
There you go. Please don't call them that. I am begging you, please don't call them that. But Matt, Kazuna Tanaka getting a crucial pinfall victory here.
If you would have told me Megaton and Hummingbird are teaming up on this show, I'm like, yes, but they're losing. I'm like, but they lose to Celine Flora. And again, I can't remember the last time we've seen Yuzuki and Tanaka team up, just the two of them. Like we've seen it with having Utami and other people.
We've seen them team with Utami a lot, yeah.
But they, as far as just the two of them being a tag team, I was like, this was great. And I think I tweeted out right away, like, I love Mayu and Utami and them teaming with both these members. They need to team these two up. If they're not going to have any after the Dream Star, if they don't have any singles plans for these two of these wrestlers, have them team up literally every show. In 6 to 8 months, they'll be one of the best tag teams in them all, Joshi, which is saying something because the Joshi tag scene is just mind-blowing right now. These two are so good as a team. Really great start with Hummingbird and Victoria Yuzuki starting off with, again, that junior style, that Superfly style. The tag team work, just how synced up that Tanaka and Yuzuki are, really is second to none. Excellent stuff. Megaton comes in. She, they put her over. She gets some really great stuff. She does some fun comedy, kind of to break up like the crazy tag team action. But ultimately, though, it just boils down to great teamwork from Celine Flora. Again, they are really second to none as a tag team. And I had the win here with Tanaka with the head kick and arm captured roll up. But you're telling me that's called the Heat Clutch, Rob Goodwin?
The Heat Clutch, apparently.
Do you know why that's called the Heat Clutch, Rob Goodwin?
Is that because her dad used it?
Her dad is Minoru Tanaka, but then when he put a mask on, his name was Heat.
There you go.
I did not know that was the name of I just literally have it was an arm capture roll. He said the Heat Clutch. I was like, oh, that was kind of his alter ego towards the end of his New Japan run. There we are, connecting the dots together live on air. Great match, 3 3/4 stars. Marigold, please put these two as a tag team on every show. They're literally one of my favorite tag teams in all of Joshi, which is saying something because I'm really enjoying every tag team in all these wrestling companies.
Moving on then, three-way action. Chika Goto picking up a victory. And though it's not over, Kokamray, having a victory in a match that does contain Koki, I imagine is going to feel like something of a victory. Perhaps a small one, but something of a victory for Chika Goto, Matt.
Chika Goto was really smart in this match because we have that history with Goto and Kokamray. So Goto kind of was like, okay, you girls go at it. They're kind of having a great back and forth in the beginning, and then Chiaki comes in, double spear, double brute scrapes. Like she picks her spots. Then eventually, like Koki gets rid of her, and then we kind of have like a mini singles match again with Koki and Chika Goto. Chiaki comes back in. Everybody kind of gets, Kokamray and Chika Goto, they kind of beat up. They take their turns beating up Chiaki. But again, it basically goes back to Kokamray and Chika Goto are very entwined of like them trying to settle the score that they never have settled before. And Chiaki was very smart. She picked her as a heel, and was just like, that's what a heel is going to do. It's going to take advantage of the situation. Ultimately, she hits we do see though, Chika Goto does get the advantage of Chiaki because now Chiaki's getting the proper heat from the crowd because the crowd sees what she's doing, that she's picking her spots and kind of cheating and is taking the shortcuts. And eventually Chika Goto is just like, nope, boom, giant choke slam and gets the 3 count. Like she had that door open just for a few seconds to get that. I really like that. And she gets the big pop from the crowd because Chika Goto is really, really over. Really great stuff. Whoever put this match together did a great job getting everybody over in their proper roles. 3.5 stars for me, partner.
Moving on then to a singles match, Mai Sakurai submitting Rhea Sato. Rhea Sato in her first singles match as an abject heel. How do you think she did?
She started the match off right. She jumped Mai Sakurai. You're kayfabe, the second best wrestler in this company because she's holding the pure white belt, the United National Championship. So she jumps Sakurai, floor fight. So it's like, okay, we're starting the heat. And not only that, it's just like, hey, you have 6 to 7 minutes. Get in what you need to get in. And that's what she does. She basically kind of cheats on Sakurai. Eventually, Sakurai does make her comeback. We get a great back and forth towards the end. Eventually, though, and we see Mai Sakurai. Rhea hits the Marufuji slide for a 2 count, a big backdrop suplex for a 2 count, and she's starting to build back up her offense again. And then Sakurai is just like, nope, big boot, the STK into the STF. See ya. So it's like you got Rhea Sato over as a cheating heel in this match, but you really got over the STF because Sakurai's on the back foot for the majority of this match. And even when she starts to make her comeback, Rhea Sato cuts her off in a heel way. And Sakurai just has an opening to hit the STK into the STF, and Rhea Sato taps out immediately. So really great job establishing that as one of the most devastating finishers in all of Marigold heading into the Dream Star. 3 3/4 stars for me. Really good match. Wish it would have 14 minutes, but I get it.
Semi-main event then, Misa Matsui and Nagisa Nozaki versus Miko Ano and Manami Yuki. And Matt Turner, I said it when I was reading out the quick results. I'm going to say it again. Best flying knee in the business.
You're just saying that because Tam's retired, right? I just want to make sure we get that. Out.
Let's not start that debate right here.
And Bryan Danielson, right? I was just making sure. Bryan Danielson, Tam, and the same.
I said what I said.
Yes, you did, sir. Yes, you did. Really great stuff here. Again, Manami Yuki, she comes out of this spot. She's the only one in this match that's not in the Dream Star, as we're just, when this match happened, just about 2 weeks away. So she comes out on fire. She does a great job really getting herself over. Really great stuff with her and Misa Matsui. You get your hard-hitting stuff with Miko Ano and Nagisa. And again, we've seen these two have had wars, especially back when Miko Ano was your pure white belt champion. The match was in Korakuen Hall. They had a really great match. Misa Matsui, though, she just takes over. Her and Miko Ano. Two great finds from Marigold when they first started this company last year. And you can see two people that they're really pushing up towards the top of the card early on into Marigold only being a company 14, 15 months. Ultimately, though, you do have this really brutal form exchange with Manami Yuki, Misa Matsui. Manami Yuki gets the advantage there. She hits a wrist clutch back suplex for a 2 count, which we've seen her win matches before. And then we do see Misa Matsui hit that brutal top rope double stomp. And then we see Nagisa take out Miko Ano for enough time for Misa Matsui to hit that flying knee, Rob's favorite flying knee in all of wrestling. That's not Tam. For the 3 count, 3 3/4 stars.
Don't you dare put words in my mouth, Matt Turner. Talking about best in the business, just have a look at this trio of wrestlers. Mayu Iwatani, Utami Hayashishita, and Mirai as a team. That is star power right there. I think it was important that Mirai got the pinfall, simply because at the moment it does feel very much like she has been sort of dropped a little bit down the card. But it is important that she gets that momentum heading into the Dream Star. I know that she's been teaming a lot with Yuki Yamazaki lower down the card, which I do like because it does feel very much like a mentor-mentee relationship, which I'm a fan of. But again, the future of Marigold versus the aces of Marigold. This was enjoyable. This was enjoyable.
Yeah, again, look at all the. I mean, if you know your history with Utami, Mayu, and Mirai, a lot of tournament wins, a lot of championships over in Stardom. So it's like this match. It's like, man, this is unfair. This is like picking a kickball team in sixth grade, and you get all the best players first, and the rookies are like, yeah, we don't care. We don't care. The bell rings. They jump the aces. Like no respect whatsoever.
Respect.
We're like
no
the
respect.
heck with it. The heck with it. We're the crazy high school kids. You guys are the seasoned vets, and they jump them. They get heat on Mayu right away. Mayu, as soon as Mayu gets the first opening, she does that double knuckle Arabian press arm drag spot, and then here comes Utami and Mirai. And again, we've seen them building up toward that match back at the last pay-per-view, how much like the two of them were just beating the crap out of each other leading up to their red belt match and had a great red belt match. And then it's just like, hey, remember when we kicked the crap out of each other leading up to that match? We're on the same team. Let's kick the crap out of these rookies that jumped us. And they do a great job taking a licking and keep on ticking. All three of them, Yamazaki, Sari, and Shino. And Shino is able to come back with some like crazy flying offense. Sari does a great job grinding everybody down. Shino locks in this sharpshooter that was just brutal. I was like, wow, it's like this side of Bret Hart. It's like Bret Hart 96, the way she built it and the way she locked it in. We get some waterfall finishes as we could just get one big move after another. So 6 big moves. Everybody's down. They come back up. Great stuff there. Then all of a sudden, the match somehow finds its way on the outside. Mayu hits a brutal and beautiful suicide dive. I guess Mayu's rib is okay because she looked phenomenal there. Mirai hits the Dolphin Buster on Shino for a 2 count. And then because why not, Rob Goodwin? Why not? The Freedom Dropkick is back. Here it is, the Freedom Dropkick to Shino. And then Mirai hits not 1, but 2 massive lariats to Shino for the 3 count. Not only was this my favorite match of the show, this is my favorite match of the 3 shows, 4 1/4 stars, almost 15 minutes. Really great stuff, buddy.
And there we go. That wraps up the matches that we're going to be talking about today. However, we have got the Dreamstar Grand Prix coming up, as I'm sure some of you might be aware of. And we've got a double header coming up at the Edion Arena, Osaka, number 2. I just want to read through the cards for the evening and the afternoon. So we kick off in the afternoon with the following matches. We kick off with an 8-woman tag, Komomo Minami, Shino, Minami Yuki and Yuki Yamazaki against Nagisa, Takibana, Hummingbird, Ishikawa, and Megaton. We've then got all tournament matches, and this is your opening show the afternoon in Edion Arena, Osaka number 2. Kazuna Tanaka versus Nagisa Nozaki, Chikagoto versus Mirai, Chanyota versus Mai Sakurai, Miko Aono versus Misa Matsui in Star League. In Dream League, we have then got Sariyama versus Chiaki, Kokamray versus Ryo Saito, Mayu Iwatani versus Senka Akatsuki, and Utami Hayashishita versus Victoria Yuzuki. Those are your afternoon matches. In the evening, we've then got 2 prelim tag matches. Ishikawa and Megaton against Hummingbird and Minami Yuki. And then we've got Komomo Minami and Nagisa Takibana versus Yuki Yamazaki and Shino. In terms of tournament matches, Star League, Kazuna Tanaka versus Chan Yota, Chikagoto versus Misa Matsui, Mai Sakurai versus Nagisa Nozaki, and then Miko Aono versus Mirai. Cannot wait for that match. Dream League, Victoria Yuzuki versus Chiaki, Koki Amare versus Senka Akatsuki, Utami Hayashishita versus Ryo Saito, and then that match that we mentioned earlier, Mayu Iwatani versus Seri Yamaoka. No idea what match is going to main event either of the afternoon or the evening show, but whatever it is going to be fantastic match. But again, Mayu Iwatani versus Seri Yamaoka. We have got Mirai versus Mika Wano. Do not sleep on Mika Wano versus Misa Matsui, and do not be surprised if we see our first tournament surprise there, Matt.
Just realize we have this weekend, buddy. We are busy. We have 2 Marigold shows, Dream Star. We have 2 Stardom, 5-star, and 2 nights of SummerSlam. So, oh boy.
Well, you say that these are live. These 2 shows are live. There is a Marigold Dream Star show on the 3rd as well as a double header from the 5-star Grand Prix on the 3rd.
From Mayo, I think from Mayo, and then we have SummerSlam, which oh geez, and I might be doing an interview either Monday or Tuesday. I'm waiting for some confirmation, so I think Uncle MT might have to use one of his vacation days. I have a lot of them because I don't take time off work. Well, I've noticed the last year I take more time off work to cover wrestling than I do to go vacation, and I'm not complaining. Man, I'm super pumped. Again, the 5-star. We're only one night in, and it was really great. These matches are just unbelievable, and I know as you're listening to this, the primer has already dropped, so which we're going to be recording in a little bit. So this is a good way for the appetizer, Rob, as I'm really excited to record said episode and to see where you have Ryo Saito winning the whole entire tournament, my friend. So.
I mean, it could happen. It could happen, Mr. Turner. But before we get to that, we have, of course, got to quickly, and it will be quickly, I believe, drop in for the gaze at Julia.
Gaze at Julia, yes, it is very quick. It really seems like ever since she won the U.S. title that she's kind of just in backstage segments. So they have a backstage segment where they announce Kiana James is kind of like Julia's muscle and her mouthpiece. And they basically have a stare down with Zelina Vega. That is setting up for this Friday night because there's not enough great women's wrestling happening this weekend. This Friday night on SmackDown, Julia versus Zelina Vega for the United States Women's Championship. And another massive shout out to friend of the show, Darren Chatton, who's giving me all these time cues. Yes, not only for Gaze at Julia, but EO and Kyrie Watch this week as well, because EO and Kyrie Watch was really good, and they had 2 separate segments. So thanks, Darren, and we shall see Julia this Friday night on SmackDown.
And that about wraps things up for the Marigold Standard, at least this episode, because me and Matt are literally rolling straight into another episode. But you don't need to know that, because through the power of editing, that will not be the case. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening or watching. We really do appreciate all of your support. If you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing to the podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, we are literally everywhere. If you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment, that also really helps us out and helps us be exposed to even more people. You can find us at patreon.com/the Stardomcast, where you can get all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month, but you can also get all of the news and the show reports that we do for absolutely free. You don't need to sign up or anything. You can just see them for free. You can also check us out on social media at Marigold Podcast, apart from if you are looking on Threads, Instagram, or Blue Sky, where we are at Talk Joshi. You can talk to me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. Or you can shoot me an email. The email address simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic episode of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.